Hi there, I'm Janet Jeffcott, and I love crafting. And last year I decided to make my own cell phone bag, a shoulder cell phone bag, and I want to show you how to do it too. Yeah, and I could show you what they look like, can look like. This was one I made recently for a fundraiser. A lady's already bought this one. Nice fringes, leather, a bit of beading. You can see this is where your cell phone will go in. A nice easy flap, and it can fit across the body as well like this quite easily. It's long enough. And I can show you how to make different lengths. I'm 5'2", so this is the length I make for me for my hip. You can also make it plain like this for people who want it plain. Or you can even put faux fur on, like cutting it and gluing it onto the flap and the front of it. I suppose you could use fabric as well. So those are a few ideas. And you can also adapt these to a belt by putting on, instead of a strap, on the back of it, you'd put on 2 small leather bits. But let's get into making these. So what you're going to need first is a piece of paper, or even just newspaper, big enough for your cell phone. And this can be for any cell phone size, little tiny ones or big ones. I happen to have the bigger cell phone, so mine was made for that size. And so you're going to need, just so you can gather your materials, you need scrap leather and a big enough, like I have here, and a big enough piece. When you're at the store, hopefully they have scraps because that's the cheapest way, of course. Or even go to a secondhand store and get an old leather jacket. I think this was from a jacket itself. And just hold your cell phone up on it, flip it over so you have two, the front and the back of your bag, and enough to make the flap, another 4 inches on top of that, and enough to, you're going to have it wider than your bag because you're going to sew it so that your cell phone can go in. So, a piece that adds a good more inch beyond the cell phone on all sides, all 4 sides. So a nice piece of leather, and you may, if you can afford them, leather scissors, which are great for leather, or just good strong scissors, little snipping scissors, a stone or a brick, that's for the sewing part. Sinew, fake sinew is more abundantly available. I got some to match this leather, but you may want an opposite color for your leather. I had to get this online. My craft store didn't even carry sinew in the store, so I had to get it online. And also for the strap, you'll need cording or lacing. I find nice and thin, like this is only an 1/8 inch thin by cut about 1/4 inch wide. And you're gonna buy about 25, I got a 25 yard one. That probably will make 2 bags worth, but at least 1 bag for sure. And of course, you need leather needles. Leather needles, again, I had to order them from a crafting store up north, and she mailed them to me. Leather needles have a chisel on the end, and they can get through leather fairly easily. You still need elbow grease and a brick. Yeah, because a regular needle, you could try, but good luck. Last 2 things you need is a nice ruler, well marked, and I find a ballpoint pen is the best for one of the main steps you have to do. So okay, so you've got all your material together, and you're going to take your cell phone, put it onto your piece of paper. And I did that previously on my piece of paper. I have an old sketchbook, that's what I used. And I traced around my cell phone just intuitively. But because this is for everybody, I measured it too to see what the measurements were around the cell phone. So for this bag, this is the top, that's the bottom. I measured 5/8 of an inch all the way around these sides. And what you can do with your cell phone is you have it laid on this paper. You can take your ruler and you can make just a little jot with your pen. Jot, jot, jot all the way around. And then take your pen and just trace along, connect the dots. And at the top, when you jot along, I found it was 3/4 of an inch. And if you're into this centimeters, it's a centimeter on the top or 3/4 of an inch. And on the side, again, it's 5/8 inch or 1.5 centimeters for those of you into the metric system. Okay, so trace your cell phone. This is the front of your bag. To make the back of the bag, which has the flap that goes over top, all I do is I took this piece, I laid it on my paper, and I just traced a nice flap. I just intuitively did. I like a curvy flap. You may like a point. You may like a square. I don't know what you like. But the main thing is to make it, maybe an inch down on one side, or more. You want to keep dirt out. You want to keep rain out. I've used my cell phone for, well, actually, I think I've had it for 2 years now, I should say. And I've skied with it. I've gone in rain and everything, and it's still perfectly fine. But yeah, you need a nice flap. So again, you trace that out. So you've got your 2 tracings. Now you put them on your leather. And because you can't really pin, I've never tried anyway, you can't pin these on your leather. You just lay them on, hold them steady as best you can, take that ballpoint pen and trace them all the way around, nice and slow and steady. On the wrong side, that's the key. The side that you don't want to show. In my case, I really like having, and I cut these out ahead of time to show you, but I'm just going to show you. I prefer the leather on the inside of the bag because your cell phone can slip in and out easily then. And I also like the look of suede. I just love the look of suede, and that's exactly what I did for my bag that's stood up to rain and snow and everything. So trace on the wrong side, the side that you don't want to be showing to the outside of your bag. So trace it, then carefully cut out with your strong scissors, and voila, you've got your 2 pieces. So the next thing is the sewing, of course. So you'll take your 2 pieces that you've cut out, put them together, and again, thing with leather is you have to just hold it. you can't pin it together. So just hold it as best you can. But first, lay that down because you got to get your sinew ready. Now sinew is a bit of a funky thing. I don't know if you've used it before, and I've learned by experiment a little bit, and partly from a teacher I had as well. You're going to take, measuring wise, you're going to take a good quantity. Spread your arms out fully, which is, I think it's about 5 feet or so, and that's a good amount. Now you're not going to want to use it as thick as that, not for a bag like this anyway, maybe for moccasins or something, but for a bag you're going to split it. Probably split it in half. That's what I did here. And all you do is you bravely pull it apart, and it may look messy and it may do slightly weird things, but it will eventually split apart. And you have 2 nice long slimmer ends. See? Because regular sinew is so thick, it's almost like I'll show you close up. It's quite thick, and for a little bag like this, you don't need it that thick. So you're going to thread your needle. This is one of the I don't know if you can see the chisel head there. Maybe you can see it. I can see it somewhat. It's like a chisel head, which is different than a normal needle. You're gonna make a nice knot in the end. And I'd say at least double, maybe triple. To make sure it doesn't pop through. Yeah, I'm gonna do triple. Because you want it nice and secure at the, nice and secure. Nice big thick lump like that. I hope you can see that. All right, so here you go. If you're strong, maybe you don't need a stone or a brick, but I find I'm one of those people that I do. So you line up your bag as best you can. And you just start at the top corner here. The two corners where you're going to start there, and you're going to do at least 3 stitches through that corner, and only in about 1/8 of an inch. Maybe 1/4 of an inch. And what I do is I put my needle on the stone, right on the stone like that, and I press firmly like that. See, and there comes the needle through. Pull it through, and you'll do about 3 stitches like that to get it really strong. And same with that, when you finish stitching all the way around, you want it really strong at those upper corners. That's going to take the most stress, of course, when you're slipping your cell phone in and out of your beautiful bag. And you'll find it's different. It's tougher. It's tougher than normal thread, you know. But it's made for leather. Sinew's made for leather. It whether it be simulated or real sinew, it stays flexible just like leather is flexible. And I find it's very durable. Like I said, my cell phone has put up with all sorts of hiking and skiing and kayaking that I do. And it goes with me everywhere. Because I use my cell phone for photography, as well as a safety thing to have, you know, when you're traveling. Okay, so I've done 3 nice strong stitches at the corner there, and I put the knot at the back so you don't have to see it. You could even, if you're even fussier, you could even start with your knot on, you could put your needle between the 2 layers so it's totally hiding, but a little tiny knot in the back. I don't think it's such a big deal. So what I like to do, you may like delicate little stitches, like every 1/4 inch, like this, close to the edge, or you may like it more rough looking, and do it, you know, more into the seam of the bag. And you're going to keep going along every 1/4 inch or so, to make it nice and secure. And again, I'm just going along, and I don't know how, it's not going to be easy to show this because the leather matches the sinew, but you're going to be going along about that far in, all the way along, and keep tacking along the side, kind of like a blanket stitch, going round and round and round. I find it's quite satisfying and easy to do. You may like to do a fancier stitch than me. I'm fairly beginner at crafting in this respect, a beginner at using leather, but I really love it, and I've made a number of bags for fundraisers and for family to use as well, and everybody really likes them. Pretty addictive once you get going, but anyway, there you go. So you're going to continue sewing all the way around, nice and tight. I don't know if you can see, I'll show as close as I can. You're going to keep doing stitches there, and you just have to hold it steady with your hands. You may find you have to adjust it at some point. If it overlaps a bit, you may have to trim a bit off because leather moves, you know. But just keep at it. And once you're finished, if you find, like in this case, the leather's a bit rumply, I'm not sure what happened there. It may have been where it was stored before I bought it. All you have to do is put it under a piece of paper, even the paper of your tracing. Put a couple bricks on top or a heavy book. For 3 days, it'll be flat as can be. It'll be beautiful, beautiful flat bag. And so the next part is your strap. You could buy leather and make a full long strap, but I find it very difficult to find leather that's that long. And I like these braided straps. I find they really hold well on coats or on your shoulder, whereas the plain simple flat strap tends to slip. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cording, and I've done this ahead of time to show you, to make it easier for you to see. You're going to take your cording and you're going to measure out, for someone my height, 5'2", you're going to measure out 7 feet. For someone taller, I'd probably add another ½ foot to a full foot. Because when you braid, just like with hair, if you've ever braided hair, it shortens up. So you're going to take your bag that you've sewn, and you're going to hold up your before you've begun braiding, hold up your 3. You should do 3 of those, by the way, 3 of the 7 foot lengths trimmed. Hold it up and see how long you want a fringe to hang down. And when you've chosen that, make a nice knot, like I did here. Make a nice knot in your 3 thongs or 3 laces. And that's where you begin your braiding. I don't know if you've done braiding before. Most people have, but some people haven't, right? You'll have the 3 pieces like this. You put one over from the left, and then one over from the right, one over from the left, and you keep going like that, always going over the center one. I should show that again. It's tricky showing, isn't it? You got the 3. One goes over the middle from the right, one goes over from the left, one goes over from the right, one goes over from the left. I hope you can see that okay. Right, left, and yeah, you just keep going until you end up with a beautiful, you may have to just fiddle a bit with that and untangle it as you go along. It's really not that hard. I find untangle, shake it a bit, and then braid about another 6 inches. And before you know it, that's a bit of another labor of love. Before you know it, you'll have a beautiful braided pouch like this with lovely fringe. Or like this one. Again, I'll show that up close so you have a better idea. And then to finish your bag, you may like it plain, or you may like to add a bit of beadwork. Some of you may know how to do beadwork on leather. I'm pretty new to that, so what I did is also you have to be fairly strong. What I did was I did just some simple daisy chain and tacked it on. Yeah, I think it's quite effective. And lastly, what you might like to do, if you know someone who's a fellow perhaps, or a woman, who wants to have this go on their belt, what you would do is you would, before sewing, you would take the back only, the back, that's the flat part, and you would tack on 2 3-inch squares, 3-inch rectangles I should say, 3" by maybe 1" 3" by 1" 2 little straps fairly high up, almost to the top of your bag on the back outside. Tack those on each corner of each of those triangles and make them generous. I say 3 inches. Maybe you should do, I don't know, I don't think belts are much more than 3 inches wide, but make it nice and generous, so that the the pouch can easily slide onto someone's belt. I made that for my youngest son. He had a small cell phone, and he loves it. Uses it all the time. So I think that's all you need to know. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can always messenger me, Janet Jeffcott. I'm the lady with I have face paint on and I'm looking up at a wolf. Not my own wolf, but a picture. And I'll answer any questions. And please do subscribe. To me, it helps me with continuing to do this work and being able to share. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy your new project. Be well.